all keys category, which means no glitches will be used in here, and they do have to pick up all the keys. All right, and looks like here we go. So both players will be going to the Magic Cave first, which is just south of the Starter Palace. And they'll be trying to do a certain pattern in here to try and manipulate a P-Bag to drop, which is a 6-count drop. There's 2 enemy groupings in Zelda 2, a large enemy grouping and a small enemy grouping. They each have a 6-count drop. If you do this cave in a certain pattern, just like Error did, you'll hopefully manipulate out a P-Bag to drop. And you want that P-Bag to hopefully get a little bit more experience, and then leave with attack 4 out of Palace 1, which would be the first palace that they go to. It's like we're having a little bit of stream freezing issues here. Just one moment. Yeah, it looks like NH's stream may have crashed there. But Error72 throwing cheats. No, he's not sure on cheats. But Error72 getting the shield spell, which he may or may not use throughout the run, we'll see. You'll maybe see it on a few bosses or something. You never know. So after this, they pick up the shield spell. He will be going to the north, pausing on a tile, waiting for an encounter. And then usually with encounters, what we do is try and manipulate them as best we can in the overworld to make sure we don't get any encounters, or as little encounters as possible. So they generally follow a pattern to where if you get the encounter in certain areas and stuff, you just go up and to the right or up and to the left. And you generally will avoid getting those encounters. And what Ari just did there is called the bubble skip. He got one of the overworld encounters on top of a forced encounter. The forced encounter tiles usually take a lot longer than the encounters themselves, the overworld encounters. And you'll see what forced tile encounter is that he skipped here coming up, which is the this area with a whole bunch of bubbles and jumping. You know, if you get hit by a bubble, you get knocked back into the water and just, die. Lose a life, which is never a good thing. All right, and he gets a back spawn there, so he'll be going straight to Palace 1. Entering Palace 1 at 3:03. Let's see if Dan H's stream has come back up yet. Still looks like it's down. Let's see if we can see what happened to Dan H's stream here. So this is Palace 1, the palace in the Parappa Desert. Ideally, you want to not get hit in the palace, but of course, like with most games, you ideally don't want to get hit. Yeah, so Dan H's stream is offline, so do apologize for this. We're trying to get a hold of Dan H to see exactly what's going on, make sure everything's okay. So you'll see Error skipping these two Stalfoses here coming up. That's actually to manipulate a 6-count on the large enemy groupings. So the Stalfoses give 30 experience. The other enemies in the palace, that if you killed those 2 Stalfoses, you'd end up getting a drop on a mob that gives you 50 experience. So instead of killing those Stalfoses and you skip them, You then manipulate that drop to make it drop on something that gives 30 experience, therefore giving you a net gain of 20 experience. Alright, so you're coming down the elevator now. Let's see if he does another manipulation here. So far, going through Palace 1 very cleanly, not getting hit at all. Alright, so Air's coming up on a bridge where lots of bots will perhaps troll you. This is an area in a speedrun where basically you ideally don't want the bots to jump at you and you just want to jump right up. And the bots don't troll him, so it's always a good thing. Hopefully while he's jumping down, the bots don't troll him either, and that's a good thing as well. So the bots are those little blue slime enemies. They can be very random in this game. During the first 3 palaces, they are the ones that cause the most trouble. There's setup in areas that will, in Palace 2 and 3, knock you directly into lava and one-shot you, basically. In Palace 1, since you only have life 1, you end up taking a full bar of damage from each bot you hit. So if they do troll you, it could take a lot of your health bar down. Especially since you have to go both ways and get trolled by bots possibly 4 times by all that. Yeah, so even if Dan H does forfeit in this race, Error72 will be most likely completing his run just to make sure he gets that time in there, because we do have individual times being calculated out for seed placement as well as wild card for players who don't win a whole bunch of the races and everything like that. So times do matter in this tournament. Alright, so Eric coming up to Horsehead, the first boss. He's only able to be damaged if you hit him in the ears above his eyes. So there's the shield spell that gives Link a brown red tunic, which may look like the red tunic from Ocarina of Time. Again, there's that kind of manipulation where you just go up and to the left. Next error will be getting the trophy, which is needed to collect the jump spell, which is, again, since this does 100% all keys category, you will need jump. And Zelda 2 is a very optimized run, so you'll see lots of areas where even... Ooh, and he gets unlucky. So basically, in order to get hit, not get hit there, you want to jump onto the trophies area and then actually slide into the trophy and pick it up. That way your shield will actually block the boomerangs that the Guria throws. However, the Guria can throw a boomerang at the exact right time to, even if you do that, there's no chance to block it or jump or move out of its way. It'll be inside of your hitbox by the time that you end the animation of holding up the trophy. Yeah, so Error typing in chat even Hoping that Dan H makes it back. We all do hope that Dan H makes it back. Don't really know what happened here, unfortunately. So, Error picking up the jump spell now. As you can see on the screen, it allows him to jump very high. And you'll see him cast that in just one moment. Error getting very close to dying here. Alright, he ends up getting life too and being very cautious. But he does have attack 4 coming up Alice 1, so that is definitely a good setup there. There's lots of randomness in this game that the enemies do and everything. It's very few rooms have exact patterns. Well, the enemies will be in the same areas and stuff like that, but lots of the enemies will behave randomly. So for the speedrun, you actually do have to adapt a lot for that. Error getting one encounter on his walk to Bagoo. We'll see if he gets any more. Ooh, and gets the encounter right on top of the Bagoo tile, so he'll have to do a walk back and forth. Alright, and this Bagoo here, he's the real hero of Hyrule, you know, because if you know Bagoo, then everyone treats you nicely in all the towns. Error just showing off here. He doesn't even need to stop to block anything. He just jumps and blocks it without slowing down at all. So here he'll be picking up a life spell. There's a mirror for some reason in this abandoned shack underneath the table. How this lady, why this lady was in this this abandoned shack with her mirror is really, no one really knows. Maybe the dog took it and, you know, just like hid it in the shack because the door's always left open apparently. So, but this mirror will be used to get the life spell. Life spell. If you get hit too many times, you can cast it. Restore 3 blocks of health. Always very useful. Next, he'll be making his way to Death Mountain, which is aptly named. If you were a casual player, just like casual playing through the game, or even if you're learning the speedrun and everything like that, sometimes, even if you're an experienced speedrunner, you'll still end up dying in Death Mountain. So, deaths do happen in Death Mountain. Both these players are very experienced. But as you can see, Error72 looks like he's still in the lead here. And the Riverman, of course, saying, you know Bagoo? I can help you cross. Like I said, if you know Bagoo, everyone in all the towns treat you nicely. I mean, this guy just literally builds a bridge for you. Alright, so Error getting Magic 2 here. That's why he didn't talk to the magic lady to get a magic refill or anything like that. He was going to get Magic 2. Looks like Error still has a lead here in this race. Now in this room, you actually do want to kill at least one enemy, as long as they don't drop anything. If they drop something, you have to kill 2 to make sure this orange die respawns here. If you didn't kill anything, that orange Dyra would actually not spawn because there's a limit of 6 sprites on the screen at once. That's to reduce, like if you've ever played a Mega Man game, it lags like crazy. Well, in Zelda 2, they created a maximum sprite limit, so it didn't lag like crazy. They're making it through that room very nicely. He just jumps over that blue Gorilla. I think he's the first person in this tournament just to say, nope, I'm gonna skip that blue Gorilla. Not even worry about killing him. The sprite limit in the randomizer, I believe, was disabled for Zelda 2. In the Zelda 2 randomizer, you can in fact start seeing screen lag, like in Mega Man style. So that is a thing. Alright, so Error will be getting the hammer soon, which will be used to break blocks and chop down trees. In this game, they don't have axes or anything like that, and they don't use their swords. Because why would someone use a sword to chop down a tree or something other than a blunt instrument in Hyrule? That's why you use a hammer. You just single swing, knock down all the trees. Let's see what Error grabs the hammer at. Yeah, we hope Dan H is still playing. His stream has still not come up, unfortunately. And we haven't had any word from him yet. So hopefully everything's okay with him. Even. I actually don't know. Hopefully his streaming PC didn't blow up. Alright, so next thing Arrow will be picking up is the magic container, which is underneath a rock, right next to Hammer Cave. The Arrow just not even worrying about the encounter spawning, just goes straight to that cave. Next thing Arrow will be picking up is the medicine jar, which is required to pick up the fairy spell. To get the fairy spell, you have to hand the medicine to an elderly woman whose child is sick. She's trying to raise, her grandchild, since Hyrule is a very dangerous place, and she needs some medicine that only the Dyra alchemists know how to make, and they keep it in a cave and worship their medicine. So, Link decides to, go kill the Dyras and steal the medicine. Just like any hero of Hyrule would do. What Air's going to try and do is set up the Boulder Dash, which is getting an encounter on a very specific tile here. Which should be this one right here. And he does get the encounter. So this allows him to make a certain amount of steps and just walk into a grass tile and get a double encounter spawn. And then make a clean walk to the medicine cave. And he didn't like that encounter, so he went and paused there. But he's still safe. Alright, so there's Dan H back in chat, saying it's one of the worst computer crashes he's ever had. hopefully he's still playing. And Eric just got the medicine jar. He'll hopefully get the he'll get the one up next, and hopefully get no encounters on the walk back to the next town, where he'll pick up the wonderful, wonderful down stab spell, as well as the fairy spell. Oh, Dan H has not been playing. But of course, during a race is when your computer's gonna crash. It's just a thing that happens. Yes, Dan H could hop in here and start commentating his own race against Error. that would be quite. I think, would that be a first for speed gaming? So Error is gonna here pick up the down stab spell. The down stab spell is the most overpowered sword sword technique. It's the most overpowered sword technique in Zelda 2. It's a one-frame move, so you can basically press down, then release down. It does a non-down stab, and you press down again on the next frame. So every other frame, you can press down. And just basically keep on spamming it. Do 30 hits within 1 second, if you're quick enough, and have the right rhythm. That's our area here now, picking up the fairy spell, which you'll see the fairy spell used quite a decent amount of times here. Normally, as you saw, Link will pick up an item, hold it over his head, and say like, "Hey, look, I got this item for you." Well, you can cast Fairy, just pick up the item and move on, and not have to play that animation or anything like that. The fanfare will still play, however, which is the great Zelda 2 fanfare. We'll see if Error uses it to get the glove. But Error is a quite experienced player, so Error does actually have the ability to sit there and type to Dan H while still playing, so that is a thing. But they're trying to decide if they want to restart the race, reschedule it, what's going to go on, so we'll have to see. Hopefully Dan H's computer is stable now, at least. Hopefully. Yeah, Error72 is a very experienced Zelda 2 player, so he is... you'll see that some of it's just walking left and right and everything like that. He'll be able to type with that. Oh, but he did pause to type something there. So the first of the keys in Palace 2 is all the way down in the elevator. The next key is slightly up the elevator in the middle floor. Then you finally go all the way back up. It's like Error's pausing here. They may be discussing what's going to go on with this race. Alright, looks like we're going to start over. How about that? Error72, grumble, grumble, he was on a good pace. Error actually was on a good pace there. But Error being a stand-up racer and saying he's, since Dan H's computer crashed, saying that we're gonna have a re-race here. So definitely props to Error for being a stand-up guy for that. And the Zelda 2 tournament, it's, of course, between the racers and what they want to do. Yeah, bad news for the commentator. I'm gonna have to sit here for an extra 30 minutes. Yeah, now hopefully Dan H's computer does not crash this time. That's the thing we're all hoping. The computer matters because the computer's the thing that's streaming his console, so everyone can watch it, and so we can get an official time. Yes, that is past my bedtime. I'm really tired. Thank you, Sully, for realizing that. No, but we're gonna start up here. We're just waiting for Dan H to bring the stream back up and everything like that. He's having some computer issues. Hopefully, he's able to complete this race and everything like that before his next computer issues happen again. It's really unfortunate that 46.2 seconds in, Dan H's computer crashed. That's never a good thing. Error. Bye. Good. What's Error trying to tell us? Error. Goodbye? Goodbye, P-Bag. Luck. Alright, so, you did see that... No, I'm actually commentating from the US. But you did see Error got the 50 P-Bag in the Magic Cave. Now, that Magic Cave, it's you want to try and get it on a very specific frames, which increase it to an 80% chance. Otherwise, it's a 1 in 8 chance to get that P-Bag, just normally. So Error has to try and hit the same frames as last time to make sure he gets that P-Bag. As any Zelda 2 speedrunner will tell you, getting that P-Bag, sometimes you have to grind it out and do resets every 30 seconds trying to get that P-Bag. So, yeah, that is the thing. Yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine commentating and everything. Yes, as Rupp's saying, the P-Bag is either free or it's impossible. There's no in between. So I dropped you all this knowledge for the first 20 minutes of the game, so I can just like take a nap during this 20 minutes, right? Right, chat? Yeah, we're good? I'll go over it all again. We'll see if Error has a P-Bag luck and what's going to happen. Yeah. So this Zelda 2 tournament stream brought to you by Speed Gaming, twitch.tv/Speed Gaming, your place for all of speed gaming on the Speed Gaming Network. Speed Gaming. Please follow. Also, make sure you guys follow both racers, Dan__H and Error72. Both of these racers are very good Zelda 2 players. Error even did run Zelda 2 at the previous GDQ, Games Done Quick, if you're familiar with that thing. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Okay, we're good. I was afraid that, yeah, he's just syncing up the streams. I was just making sure that Error's stream didn't crash. We're all good. We're all good. He just made me panic a little bit. I had a little bit of panic there. It's all good. So, we'll see what ends up happening here. Error not getting the P back this time. Dan H also not getting the P back. Ah, there goes that P back luck that Error72 had for the last run. No, we just stink in the streams is all we did. So we're all good. So Dan H is actually choosing to go to Dark Trophy Cave, which is another strategy in order to get enough experience for Palace 1 to hopefully leave Palace 1 with attack 4. Oh, and Dan H gets knocked into the lava. Taking a death this early on is a very, very bad thing to have happen. Oh, he almost gets knocked into the lava a second time. Wow, okay. So, hopefully we don't see Dan H. Yeah, it's supposed to be a 1 in 8 chance to get that P-bag if you don't hit the right frames, but any Zelda 2 speedrunner will tell you it's either you're going to get it or you're going to try 50 billion times. And that 50 billion is only an exaggeration by about 1 or 2 billion. So we are starting this race over because Dan H's computer crashed. Error72 offered to go ahead and restart the race, just so we had a fair race happen between the runners and everything like that. So Dan H just didn't take a forfeit or anything like that. So it is between the racers themselves if they want to restart, reschedule, whatever, or if we just want to have one forfeit and keep on going. But Error72 chose that, and Dan H talked to each other, and they decided to restart the race. The Zelda 2 community and everything like that, we like racing each other and playing each other. We talk to each other and everything like that. So most racers will be like, it doesn't matter if you're rusty, good, bad, or if you speedrun Zelda 2, or if you're in the tournament even. Most of the time we'll offer a re-race if there's a soft lock or a crash or something like that, so. Ooh, an error, almost getting hit by the bubble and getting knocked into the water there, which is a risk as well. And Dan H setting up the bubble skip here now. Error entering Palace 1 now. And Dan H is going to try for bubble skip, and he misses. So he's just going to take the encounter. We'll see how Error's Palace 1 is. He's already down 2 bars of health, so all it takes is 3 bots to troll him. Unless he casts shield, he could take a few more hits. But it is quite possible that Error can die in Palace 1, being this low of health already. The bots do like the troll sometimes, and we'll just jump straight into you. For no reason at all, other than just to be mean to Link. You know, since he goes around and kills all the monsters, all the non-humanoids. Now these Tinsus that Error is killing here, if you get hit by those, they actually drain 10 experience points, as well as damage you. So that 10 experience points... Oh, and Error getting hit here with the Stalfos. Only 2 bars of health left. This could be... This is danger territory, basically. We'll have to watch out and see what happens here. As you can see, Dan H does have full health still. Error casting shield in this room to make sure he doesn't take damage. The Goomba that throws the jacks, or the whatever you want to call those, the maces or anything like that, they do quite a bit more damage. They actually do a 1.5 blocks of health damage. But with shield, they shield the spell basically makes it so they do half as much damage. So it's a good thing. It's a very good spell, and Air has to be very careful here. Oh, gets hit by the Stalfos. So Air has to be very careful here. If he gets hit by anything else in Palace 1, he will in fact die and lose a life. No, 100%. The leveling does not count towards that 100%. We go by everything that appears on the start pause menu, which is all the items, and all the spells, and also all the heart containers and magic containers. Leveling, however, is not required to be 888 leveling at the end. You'll most likely see both of these runners go 886 by the end of the run. But this also is 100% all keys, so keys are required. You'll see them pick up every key in the game. Dan will do 877, according to Rep. Rep is a very knowledgeable person in this game, so calling Dan will do 877. Dan H said he's very rusty, and he may just take levels as they come for the race, so we'll have to end up seeing here. So Era did take life 2, so they'll most likely just be trying to leave Palace 1 with attack 3, magic 1, and life 2. And basically doing what we call an attack 3 run instead of an attack 4 run. Yeah, no matter what, Error will be leaving the palace with attack 3. So there's plenty of experience to be able to just straight up get life 2 and then get up attack 3, which honestly is a very good move by Error, since he was so low of health. He didn't pick up that 50 experience, but he didn't need it. So Dan H gets the first red jar. He will not be leaving Palace 1 with attack 4. Now the split between these two runners, you won't be able to see what the actual split is until you see the times of when they enter Jump Town to get the jump spell. So, Error still has to pick up the trophy. Dan H already picked up the trophy. Actually, Dan H, if he gets his P back, he may get attack 4, but... Oh, so never mind. Dan H will have attack 4. I repeat, Dan H will have attack 4 during this run. So Dan H does have quite an advantage of leveling. But Error is still in the lead currently. The current world record for Zelda 2 100% all keys is by Simple Dude, 1 hour, 14 minutes, and 49 seconds, and 720 milliseconds. Simple Dude is the only person to get under 1 hour and 15 minutes in this category thus far. So you see Error just past the shack with an open door. If you went inside that shack with the open door that he passed, that shack actually has Error inside the game. So we have the runner Error just passing up his own place in the game. That's what we just had there. It's always quite a feat to watch. So again, this is picking up the jump spell. Which is a required spell because it's 100% all keys. You pick up all the spells, pick up all the items that would appear on the pause menu. Yes, it is the famous NPC that says, "I am Error." Getting a hit here. So you'll see the difference in levels that each runner will pick up. Error most likely will not take any other magic levels, life level, until after Palace 2. Unless he gets lots of feedback drops, then you may pick up something. However, Dan H will be able to take more life levels and magic levels since he does have attack 4. And Error getting a counter there right before Bagu. So we'll see what the split is between the two racers here in one moment. I'll just go off a Life Town entrance, which is the next town that you'll see them enter. Alright, so Error entering this town at 12:27. See what Dan H enters the town at. So we have a 38-second difference. Error is in lead by about 38 seconds. And Error, as you can see, picking up the life spell there, which you'll most likely see him use in Death Mountain since he will not be taking any life levels or magic levels all throughout his trek to the hammer. So Error will be picking up magic there. Tuck the magic lady. Make sure he enters Death Mountain with full life and full magic. And of course, if you know Bagu, the Riverman will just sit there and build a whole entire bridge for you. He's got time on his hands. He's got too much time on his hands. If you know Bagu, he'll build the whole bridge. Because you see Dan H not talking to the magic lady because he'll be taking magic. Oh, he ends up talking to the life lady, however. So the difference between talking to the magic lady and the life lady, he will be getting a magic level up soon. And life is already queued up since he talked to the old man to get the life spell. So he won't have to press the start menu to re-queue it up if he talks to just the life lady. So it does save about a second, or a little bit less than a second, doing it that way. Because you get a magic refill right here. You see Error already down 3 bars of health. And you cast life there to get full health once again. And you'll also see the number of hit differences, like on that red diary there. Since Error has attack 3, it takes 6 hits. And you'll see Dan H come up to it and it'll only take 4 hits. As well as the orange diaries will take 5 hits with attack 3. With attack 4, they take 3 hits. So that is a little bit of time save there, but not too much. The little red enemy slimes are called bits. Some say they're sweeties, but I say they're ragey. They sometimes like to rage and get into certain spots for you, so you'll jump right into them, or they'll run straight towards you. And when it hits you in inopportune times. However, they're not as bad as bots. Bots like to jump onto you and into you and just like to ruin your day. So Dan H getting some P bags as well, so he'll definitely be good on experience once it comes to Palace 2. Error72 will have to make sure he kills more enemies in Palace 2 to pick up more experience than Dan H. So that's also where a big time save is. So at the end of Palace 2, we'll be able to see how big the split is there as well. No, this is not randomized. This is the original version of Zelda 2, as per released in the North American region, the NTSC version, if you will. So Ari just picked up the hammer there. Dan H about to make his way to the hammer. Yes, this is the right channel. You've reached twitch.tv/speedgaming. Your place for all speed gaming, randomized and not randomized. See, Dan H still about 30 seconds behind. And so again, both runners will be next going to the Magic Cave to pick up the Magic Container. You saw Error actually go to the right, then hit the wall. That is actually just a little bit of a trick to try and be on the left side of that Magic Container, just to save a few frames. So you're a few more frames to the left when you're walking towards the exit of that room. Remember, save the frames, kill the animals. Error jumping over these enemies, just skipping them all together. Now come up to the bridge portion with bubbles. These bubbles are Hyrule's acid reflux. Someone should get Hyrule some Tums. And since Dan H did take a death, there's actually a 1-up in that graveyard that Error just passed by. Chose not to get. Since Dan H did take a death earlier in the game, we'll have to end up seeing if Dan H picks up that 1-up. Here, making his way to pick up the medicine. And Dan H not going for the 1-up. Okay. So Dan H feeling confident enough with his play, choosing not to get the 1-up, and he'll just go for the medicine as well. So Error will be making his way back to the town. Dan H getting an encounter there. In the forest. Most likely pick up another encounter here in the swamp. Yep, and he does. His Error will always joke around that he's using 19 strats. Because that's the year that the game was released. 1988 strats. 1989 strats. Strats from back in the 80s. But Error, yes, is the former world record holder in this category. And a very experienced racer. Very experienced speedrunner in general. He has actually run Zelda 2 at a Games Done Quick marathons and other marathons himself. Being such a good player, and runs multiple categories of Zelda 2, so... Dan H, of course, has been playing this game for a very long time as well. He's a little bit rusty, though, but... Ooh. As you can see, he casted life just in time to make sure he didn't die there. So you saw Error just pick up the down stab spell. Again, most overpowered... It's not the down stab spell, this down stab sword technique. Why do I call it a spell? But you could mash the down button if you mash it at a certain frame rate. Or a certain rate, if you will. 30 times in 1 second, you could down stab an enemy. It's quite powerful. How's Error talking in chat while speedrunning? Well, in towns, you generally hold left and right. So that's usually an easy way to be able to chat in there. But he's very, very comfortable with being able to talk and play the game at the same time. Like I said, Error is a very experienced runner. So I believe it was a race between Error72 and Enchantress of Numbers. Both of them were even talking to each other in chat. I believe it was them two. They were sitting there talking to each other in chat. Let me double check. So Error72 picking up the heart container here, which will fill up his whole entire health. And anytime you pick a magic container, it fills up 1 full bar of however many magic bars you have, or life, it'll fill up however many life bars you have. So if you are down, like, say, 3 or 4 magic bars, it will still fill up all the magic bars you have, so you can actually cast a spell during that fill up and still end up with these full magic if it didn't use up more than what you had. So we're now entering Palace 2, the Swamp Palace. And this palace has a nice teal color to it. The swamp made it, that nice salty rust color, that you see the Statue of Liberty is in New York. It's like that rusted bronze color, So this palace probably, since it has a high humidity level, of course in the swamp, this palace is probably made of bronze. I'm betting, at least. Nice turquoise color. Alright, Error, just holding down stab there and killing all the bots in that room. So we'll see what each runner ends up finishing Palace 2 at. Dan H needs a lot less experience than Error72 in this palace, so we'll end up seeing Error72 killing more enemies than Dan H. So this will be a little bit of an equalizer here to see exactly what happens. Yes, the old Nintendo helpline. For games like Zelda 2, which are very difficult. Have a problem? Call Nintendo! Nintendo helpline, call me now! Alright, you'll see this next room that Error72 is coming up in is the deadly bot room of Palace 2. These bots can jump and knock you straight into the lava if they jump at the right time. Error did not get trolled too bad. That last one tried to jump a little bit, but Error is already swinging his sword to make sure to catch that bot from trolling him there. Now, Error was actually hoping for a pea bag there, not a red jar. But he did in fact get a red jar, not a pea bag. Never good when that happens. This bot womb? Sorry, sometimes I speak and slur my speech. Most likely you'll see Error cast a fairy spell here to pick up the glove. We'll see here. Just a few moments if he does or does not. He's queuing up fairy. So as you can see, Error just casted fairy and picked up that item. What that does is it allows him to skip holding up the item over his head as Link. Instead, he is a small fairy and just picks up that item and stores it in the quantum dimension known as the pocket. It allows you to save 1.5 seconds each time you do that for an item. So over the course of the run, it will save a decent chunk of time, casting then as many items as possible. Right, Error getting another red jar there. Again, Error's hoping for a pea bag, but ends up getting a red jar yet again. So Error definitely having great luck with the red jars when he doesn't want them. Dan H now going up to the glove. Gonna get his attack 5. Can skip most of the other enemies in the palace. Error's pretty much fine on experience too. He'll just have to kill more enemies in Palace 3 to get more experience. But as long as he stays 5-1-2 by the end of Palace 2, he should still be fine as well. I believe last year during the tournaments, usually when you get the bracket play of like the final brackets and the finals and everything like that, sometimes we'll get a large amount of viewers. Alright, so you see downstab being used there to skip enemies by both Error and Dan H. That's another use. Instead of using the jackhammer, you just easily bounce on top of enemies and not damage them and skip them. As you see, Dan H will probably be skipping as many enemies as he can. Error just now picking up Magic 5, but Helmet Head here will give him 200 experience. Alright, so Error. He'll be placed in the gym at 30:18. 30 minutes and 18 seconds. We'll see what Dan H places the gym at. See what the split is. So this is another dreaded overworld encounter walk that hopefully you want to try and get no encounters, but most likely you're going to take at least a few. Road encounters we count as a half encounter, swamp and grass encounters we count as a full encounter. So Error taking quite a few here. Right, taking another road encounter, so he will not be able to set up Tomb Walk. Ooh, and Error tries to go into King's Tomb, but ends up getting that encounter that just goes immediately into him. So Dan H will place the gym at 31:45. So there's quite a large difference between these two runners. 1 minute and 1 minute 38 seconds, if I can math right. But this is still quite anyone's game. 1 minute and 38 seconds can be made up by a game over, a few deaths, a little bit of trolling in this game. So we are now at Palace 3, the Island Palace. Switch. There we go. The boss of Palace 3 and this Rebonek, the item that you see Error pick up next, and Danage is the raft. The raft allows you to go from the western continent to the eastern continent. The raft, of course, used in later games, such as Wind Waker, where he puts a sail on it and sails the oceans of Hyrule for a very long time. However, you will see Error kill quite a bit of these enemies here, because this is the palace where he'll make up the difference in experience, and you'll see them have most likely these same levels after exiting this palace. West Rule and East Rule, that's right. Yeah, they got the west side and the east side. It's a big rivalry in Hyrule. Oh! And as you can see, that's another spot where the bots can troll. So that bot jumped at Error in the exact right time to be able to knock him straight into that lava. So like I said, deaths can happen. Trolls can happen. It's a thing. So Error gonna be one life down there. And Error doing one hit less than that jackhammer. Now he'll cast Fairy to grab that raft. Yeah, sometimes those bots, they will jump at the right times to where even if you're prepared for them, they will still end up knocking you into lava and killing you. So Error is still just risking it and walking through that room, though. So that means both runners have now died once. Yeah, bots, some runners will call bots the real bosses of this game, because they're the only thing in the game that will one-shot you, basically. They'll knock you into lava. So bots, they may look easy to kill, but in reality... So Air's making his way to Rebonak. This horse that Rebonak rides is not seen in any other Zelda game. It's a mechanical, maybe magical hover horse that floats. All the other horses in this game are biological. In the Zelda franchise are biological horses. So hopefully, maybe one day, we'll see a return of a mechanical floating horse with magic. But you'll see Error gonna go to the pixel. Alright, he does go to the pixel. He's gonna stand in a certain pixel to hopefully jump over Rebo, go run it over to the corner, and then just sit there and down stab on his head if Rebo wants to cooperate, which Rebo does not. Ooh, an Error. Oh, Error barely living. What we like to call Zombie Link. He just has a sliver of life there. So, finishing at 36:45. So Phantom Ganon's horse Ocarina of Time floats, but it has legs and everything, doesn't it? It's not like a mechanical horse like this. I thought I remembered it being an actual horse. And actually a ghost horse. Battalion Grass. Alright, so Error will now be making his way to the eastern continent. As you can see, this horse is literally just like... It's like a hoverboard with a horse head on it. It's really unique for the Zelda franchise. Alright, so Dan H finishing 37:52. So as you can see, it's only about a minute difference now. A minute and 7 seconds. So Dan H just during that palace made up about 30 seconds. So like I said, it's still anyone's game at this point. A minute difference is the difference between Overworld and a death. And especially in this next area, after Error gets the fire spell, which makes, goodness gracious, it makes you shoot balls of fire out of your sword. So the difference in leveling, at the very beginning of the game, you ideally want to leave Palace 1 with Attack 4. Now, the way this is done, each time you place a gem at the palace, it gives you the difference in experience between what you have and whatever you have for the next level up. So ideally, what the runners try and do is use that and manipulate that so they get as much experience as possible. So what the runners try and do is get enough experience in the palace to get a certain amount of levels and then get it attack up as quickly as possible. So you'll see, especially in this next palace, the runners will have the goal will be like thousands of experience to the next attack level. Once they place the gem, it'll give them that thousands of experience just so they can get that next attack level. So that is what the mechanic in the palace gems and the experience of this game. So you can actually just get the levels in between that cost very little, and then get the very expensive level ups just by placing this palace gem. And then I'll explain also a little bit more once they reach the end of Palace 5 and they have Attack 8 as well. So Error there picking up the child. How a little fairy like that picks up a whole child and makes him disappear in a quantum dimensional pocket or something is beyond me. Maybe the fairy was hungry as well. We don't know. And Air will now be doing what's called the Dazzle Walk. Hopefully it goes right and not horribly wrong. And it goes well. You should get an encounter skip here. And he does. So that walk is very specific in the steps you want to take and everything like that, and the timing to where you will not get any encounters, hopefully, all the way over to the left side there of that screen. However, there is still a chance for a random walk or a fairy encounter to ruin your day in that area. As we have Dan H gets it as well. Ooh, Air trying for the super jump. Does not get it, and ends up ferrying down the chimney, doing the fairy claws technique. Alright, so Dan H trying for the dazzle walk here as well. Gets a fairy spawn. Okay, so the fairy, or the flying carrot, if you will, chooses not to mess with him and give him a counter there. Ooh, and Dan H, I don't believe moved up in time. I'll have to see. Yeah, he did not get the encounter skip. So Dan H will have to walk through this encounter here. He could still wait for the next encounter and still save a little bit of time, but just not to worry about it. It's like this one he got, though. Alright, so the spell that you rescued the child. This old woman was looking for a lost child that Listalfo stole. So this is similar to the movie Labyrinth, where David Bowie, of course, takes the child to the labyrinth. In Zelda 2, Listalfos takes the child to the maze. But this allows you to pick up the Reflect spell, which will be used in the next palace, Palace 4, for the boss Karak. Karak, the only way you can damage him is by reflecting his own magical wave attacks back at him. So this game is basically, in other Zelda games, you'll see the mirror shield or the reflective shield. This game didn't have another shield type. It had a reflective spell that made your mirror reflect certain things. So this is your first iteration of the reflective shield, or the mirror shield, or anything like that. So lots of things from Zelda 2 that were used in other Zelda games, of course. Air having a very nice walk here, all the way back to the maze. Oh, he ends up getting that encounter there at the end. So Air picking up one of the, almost the last magic container here in the maze. It's also hidden. You'll see Air taking what looks like the longest path in the maze, but it is in fact the shortest due to forced encounters, such as this one he's just now entering. If you take the shorter path, every single pathway you see that he's not taking has a forced encounter on it. So it is a lot longer for gameplay-wise to take that shorter path, instead of just walking in the overworld and taking that longer path. Alright, we're now entering Palace 4, the Maze Palace. You'll see the boss Karak there at the bottom of the layout, as well as the first introduction of the Wizrobes of this game. The Wizrobes can also only be damaged by the reflecting their little magic-y, wavy thingy attack back at them. So this palace, you'll see lots of keys at the very edge of the rooms. You'll see lava pits right next to them. In Palace 4, during a PB attempt, or personal best attempt, you'll usually see runners take many, many death abuses in this palace, because there's a lot of different rooms, exactly like this one that's Error's in. We just go straight to the end, and then you pick up a key, and you have to go all the way back. Well, it's easier just to jump into the lava and die. Oh yeah, the theme's creators, the overlays that you see, were made by Scavenger. He's a Zelda 2 runner, as well as for Blaster Master and everything like that. Any Zelda 2 layouts you see and Blaster Master layouts are made by him. It's Scavenger 216. He's the one that made these layouts. He's a real nice guy. So yeah, he made these Zelda 2 layouts as well as the ones for Blaster Master. Blaster Master is another game that you may have seen here on Speed Gaming. You saw Error there pick up the boots. Those boots, I'll tell you what they do. They're made for walking. They walk on certain water tiles. Error just picked them up, and yeah, I think since you can't walk on all water tiles, I think honestly Link just didn't want to get his normal shoes dirty, so he puts on those boots whenever he walks on the like shallow water. They're probably like mudding boots, you know, a little bit higher up on the leg. And you saw Error there taking the death abuse. And Error will be getting one last key on this side. All the way to the left of this room. As you can see, the Wizrobes sometimes will sit there and troll you. Or you can't make it past them. You just have to wait for them to phase out. Alright, now Arrow will make his way up the elevator, back whence he came, at the very beginning of the palace, and instead of going to the right, he'll go to the left side. On the right side is the item, and the left side is Karak, the boss. Now you'll see Karak. Karak's actually the hardest boss in Zelda 2, in my opinion. He's very difficult to beat quickly. He's yeah, probably the most difficult boss in the game for the speed run. Now I'll explain that once Error gets to Karak there. So this Minecraft room is this has a Doom Knocker in it instead of the floating wolf heads. We call them Minecraft rooms because you're sitting there digging through blocks, just like the game Minecraft. But first, there's one more key Error must pick up. We'll see if Error chooses to death abuse in this room or tries for the red jar. We'll see what he ends up doing. He may want to try and save a life. And he gets the red jar, so he's going to save a life by not death abusing here. That death abuse, each death abuse saves about 8 seconds in Palace 4. So each time you see the the death abuse happened in those rooms, it's about an 8-second time save. 6 to 8 seconds. Now these key doors that you saw Error just unlock there, if you're playing this casually, you can actually cast the fairy spell and go straight through them if you don't have the key. You'll see that also in other categories as well, where you'll pick up as little keys as possible and be able to manage your magic to just ferry straight through those keyholes. And that is intended. It was actually hinted at by Nintendo Power magazines that it's possible to do. So, you see Error casting Reflect Spell and go immediately to the right-hand corner. Now, the reason why I say Karak is the hardest boss in the game for the speedrun is because since Error didn't cast Shield, Karak can actually teleport into him and kill him, since he's sitting there in the corner. And also, as you can see, it's taken a very long time for Karak to die. So, Error not really having that great of a fight, and it's pure RNG. There's the quickest way to kill Karak, which is sitting in that corner. It's also the safest way. So the reason why I say that's the hardest boss in the game is because there's absolutely nothing you could do to speed up that fight, really. You're hoping that you get the good RNG. We'll see what Dan H gets for Karak RNG in here in just one moment here. Yes, I'm saying he lost count of how many of those beams were reflected back and Karak dodged. But Error now making it to Palace 5. Dan H, wow, having holy. Okay, Karak's trolling a little bit now. I was about to say that's still a very good Karak fight that Dan H had. So as you can see, the difference there in how long that fight took is quite a bit difference. So just by RNG, Dan H has made up a little bit of time there to Error. So we'll see what each runner ends up finishing Palace 5 at. To see what the next difference is before they start the river dance, which I'll explain later. And Error, of course, pulling off the Eco Key. Error is a very experienced runner. We all expect him to do it. No, but that's actually a newer thing that you will see runners do. It's actually a newer technique that was found within the past couple years. It's a damage boost off that skull bubble. Set it up just right, so you end up damage boosting up there. You normally can't get up there with just casting the jump spell. You have to cast Fairy, which we'll see if Dan H goes for it or not. Dan H just chosen to cast Fairy. He's not going to worry about it. So normally you cast Fairy, that's the intended technique. However, you can actually cast the jump spell and damage boost that way. Or you can actually down stab boost off that skull bubble if you do it correctly as well. A runner by the name of Vlak SR likes to down stab boost up there. Alright, so the item in Palace 5 is the flute, the plunger, the vuvuzela, whatever you like to call it. It's actually the flute in the game's actual terms. You'll see it used twice. Once to make the river devil fall asleep and go away, and to make Palace 6 appear out of thin air. Which you'll see Error coming up to very soon. No, it doesn't make the blah sound. Link is an expert instrumental player, so he knows how to make a tune come out of that instrument, which you'll hear pretty soon. You see Error just ferrying that flute. Doesn't want to hold it up over his head and say, "I got the flute!" Now, Error coming up on quite possibly one of the most important key grabs in Zelda 2, what's known as the swag key. The swag key, it's on a little shelf. You want to try and grab that key without touching the shelf. It's known as the swag key. It's purely for swag. It saves 2 minutes, or it can lose 2 minutes. In reality, it's only a few frames, but we like to say 2 minutes. We'll see if Error gets it. Error gets the swag key. This run is saved. This run is completely worth it. It's all good. Error got the swag key. Error wins the swagginess contest in this race. Unless Dan H also gets the swag key. We'll have to see. Run confirmed a good run. We always joke around, if you don't get the swag key, you just reset. You know, it's the run's not worth continuing if you don't get the swag key. So, Dan H having a little bit of trouble there getting the flute. He didn't kill the blue iron knuckle, so it does end up hitting him while he's grabbing it too. So, what you ideally want to do is jump right near the end to where you aren't going to hit the bricks. So you glide just over the corner, downstab the key, hit the wall, bounce back over, and save a few frames with the hitting the wall, and you get your momentum quicker that way. And then exiting that room. So it actually does save a few frames by doing that. But mainly it's for pure swag. Yes, and make sure you guys follow both these runners, Error72 and Dan H. Dan __H, 2 underscores. We'll see if Dan H gets the swag key. Oh, Dan H does not get the swag key. So Error definitely winning this race, purely on swag. Error not even trying to go along with the music. Dan H getting trolled by the Moggos there. He just thought the fire's gonna disappear and just walks into the fire. Fire bad, Dan H. Fire bad. Gonna have to keep on running into it. And Error coming up on the boss of Palace 5. This is the hardest hitting boss, especially since you have life 4. Normally you'd have a lot higher life level, which allow you to take a lot less damage. But Goomba does hit quite hard. Error trying for the jackhammer. Nearly jackhammers Goomba to death and has a very good Goomba, but ends up getting the max key grab. There's a little bit of time loss. But that's a very good Goomba by Error. So Error finishing at 58.50. I'll call that 58.50. When the gem reached the top. Alright, so Error is trying to set up what's called the river dance. Not to be confused with the thing where you click your feet on the stages and everything like that to a pre-recorded beat and clicks. So you saw him take an extra little step there to the left and back to the right. That should allow this encounter to spawn. And the next one will spawn right on the tile that gets rid of the River Devil. And as you can see, the flute plays a nice tune of music. Oh, and he ends up getting unlucky. So it gets a back spawn there. So this is where you see the experience be abused the most. To normally get the experience required for what we call attack 9, but in reality it's just another 1-up. You see him get 2 levels of magic and 2 levels of life because he has 9,000 experience total to use. So that is why we end up trying to get to attack 8 as quickly as possible during a speedrun. So Error did not get the River Dance. We'll see if Dan H gets it. Dan H getting hit once. It's still pretty decent Guma from Dan H. Alright, Dan H, we'll see what time the gym reaches the top. 1 hour 37. So the difference is about, what? 1 minute 40... 1 minute 47 seconds? Yeah. 1 minute 47 seconds. Saw Error just ferry through that Tektite room instead of using the fire spell. Goodness gracious, he could have used Great Balls of Fire coming from his sword, but he didn't. Shame. You saw Dan H getting some encounters there and not setting up the River Dance properly. See, Error, while he was typing there, he ended up just walking right past the little door entrance there to get the spell. He forgot to hold right and up. Right and up, Error. You gotta hold up as well when you're typing in that room. And you'll see him come to the end of this town to cast the spell, spelled S-P-E-L-L. Erect a great tower. And then he'll enter the middle. How do you spell the spell? S-P-E-L-L. That's how you spell the spell. Spell. S-P-E-L-L. So Error now will be picking up the last magic container of the game. You see Dan H using the fire strats to kill the Tektites, but ends up missing some of the Tektites. And there's the last magic container that you'll see picked up for Zelda 2. Well, this run at least, until the next run happens. Then Error will be making his way to the last heart container pickup. Hopefully he'll be able to do what we call slinking. Error getting hit by these Tektites here. We'll see if he ends up able to slink these encounters here. He stops here, gets a back spawn so he doesn't have to worry about slinking. Oh, and this encounter, oh! He gets really close. Those encounters are very hard to slink since there's a boss one there. The past tense of slink is slinked. Because I just made it up now. So here's Palace 6. The second to last palace of the game. The last one with a numbering system. The Palace of Palace 6. Oh, and... hold on, since this was set in chat, I gotta try and do that. So hold on. What do you spell when the spell Alright, what do you do? What do you spell when you spell the spell while the spell is spelled by a speller who is spelling spell? That is spell. Sorry, I have trouble reading sometimes. So Palace 6 has the boss Barba. In other games, this boss may have been called Volvagia. In the rest of the Zelda franchise, in fact, even the FDS Famicom Disk System, the boss's name is Volvagia. For some reason in Zelda 2 we get Barba. I think we got cheated. Either that or Barba could be the more elite version of Volvagia. That's why it's only appeared in this game. Barba only emerges once Ganon is conquered. Very nice Rebo fight there from Error. Once you have attack 8, you can make easy work of Rebo. So there are the two sub-bosses of Rebo and Rebo. Barba short for Barbacoa. And Error jumping over what's called the Canadian hole. There's actually a hole there that Error just jumped over. That's why I cast the jump spell to make sure he didn't fall down it. It's an invisible hole, covered by magic and illusion. It's called the Canadian hole because lots of Canadians like to fall down it when they were speedrunning it. And it was nicknamed by those Canadians the Canadian hole. They claimed it. They planted their flag. There's even some Zelda 2 maps of the palace layouts that have the Canadian flag right there on that hole. An Error trying for Ceiling Walk. Ends up not getting it. He was just short. Ceiling Walk is basically getting all the way to the right and just barely 1 pixel before touching the wall with your hitbox. You'll end up landing on top of the roof there. Error breaking those blocks along with the music. Very nice indeed.
So the item that you saw Error pick up earlier was the cross. The cross allows you to see invisible moas. Invisible purple moas and invisible blue moas. You'll see the purple moas in Old Kasuto Town, where you'll pick up the Thunder Spell. And you'll see the blue moas in Valley of Death. The valley where lots of death happens. And hopefully none of these runners die. And possibly game over. We'll have to end up seeing. It's always a possibility. So both runners have to be very careful with their magic usage here. Because you do have to cast Fairy twice in this palace. So this is the second required Fairy casting. See Error queue up Jump. We'll see if Error wants to do a 1 cycle without jackhammering, or he does one jackhammer. Most likely do a jackhammer here. Oh, and Error falls off the horse and straight into the lava. That is one of the dangers of the jackhammer, and it gives Dan H a little bit of time to catch up. Will you try for again, or you go for the safe route? All right, Error trying to do the safe route. All right, there you go. You one cycles that time. Gets a max key grab. Yes, Error just made an error. Yeah, nice safe 1 cycle after that. He wasn't going to try the jackhammer again. So Error can still die once more before he's on his last life. also still has this life and one more life after this left. Now, as I said, the next area coming up is Valley of Death. Valley of Death is also an area that can cause death. So we'll end up having to see what happens here. This is still very much anyone's game. So that purple Moa that you just saw Error kill, if you didn't have the cross, you would not be able to see. Alright, so Error choosing to go across this bridge and walk it. This is another bridge that is actually quite deadly. Okay, Error goes across there. Comes to the second bridge. And you see Dan H doing the safe one cycle there. Alright. And Error getting an encounter skip. Make his way to the left. Getting a back spawn. Doing beam strats. He's hitting the Moes with his beams. The real risk here ends up being if you miss the beams and get hit at different spots, you get knocked into lava. There are those lava pits. Oh, and see? Error nearly made another mistake there. If he went to the left instead of pausing there, he most likely would have just fell into the lava. Getting hit by those Moas as well. Ooh, and get... Ooh! So the, he's getting hit quite a bit. He's gonna have to end up casting life here. He wants to try and not die until the end of Palace... The Great Palace. The next palace coming up. Which, spoilers, is the last palace. And has great music. Ooh, nice encounter skip there. So Error no longer has Beam Sword. Alright, so he'll make it safely through Valley of Death. As long as he doesn't die here, which most likely he won't. Alright, so he's good. He should be. He's good. Danny's choosing to ferry over these bridges. Alright, so Error knocking down the barrier at 1:13:14. We'll see when Dan H knocks down the barrier. But this is the very last palace. The Great Palace, a GP. Has two bosses. The penultimate boss, Thunderbird, who I see as the real boss of GP. And then the final boss of the game, Shadow Link, where you fight your own shadow. You see Error heading here to the right. You can actually go to the left and take the alternative route, the alt route of GP. We haven't seen that yet in this tournament. You may end up seeing it during bracket play, we'll see. GP Great Palace has a completely unique color scheme, but as well as enemies. These enemies don't appear anywhere else in the game except for the bots. However, those bots take 2 hits, even with attack 8, so they are still unique bots. But you don't see any of these enemies in any other place in the game.
Arrow most likely... Okay, he's not going for that red jar. Okay. He's just going to continue on. So Dan H bringing down the barrier at 1:15:20. So Dan H about 2 minutes behind. However, if Error game's over, we'll have to start at the very beginning of Great Palace. Yes, the spicy chickens, the Scott Biculas, red and blue. The bots and floating heads. Gob Bubbles and King Bots too. Scott Bicula treating Error quite nicely. We'll see if he grabs the fairy or not. Alright, does not go to the fairy. See if this spicy chicken treats him nicely too. And it does, it does. There's that king bot that likes to try and fall on people's heads. Now Error coming into Thunderbird. He'll cast Shield, Jump, Reflect, Cue up Thunder, and Thunder, which will turn Thunderbird from red to blue. Error having it's a pretty nice Thunderbird there. Dan on purpose goes 877. So Error now coming up to Shadow Link, Dark Link, and using fire strats. Goodness gracious, great balls of fire coming from Error's sword for the final fight of this game. Everyone loves fire strats. It does absolutely nothing but benefit the viewers. And here we go, Error finishing with a 118.4. And we're now joined by Error, who just finished this race.
I want the first run back. That was a lot better.
Yeah, you didn't get the P bag this time.
Whatever.
So, the first run, of course, stopped by Dan H's computer crashing and apparently making noises that he's never heard. Are you happy with that run, or?
Alright, now that Error's done, hopefully Speed Gaming's on my channel now. Here, I got my audio.
Maybe...
And I can give better
Well, I was happy I got
commentary than John
Ikoki,
Wayne ever could.
and I was really happy with the Guma fight. Everything else was pretty
So
meh.
sorry about that,
You did cast fire
little
on
blip
Shadow,
there.
so you have to be happy with that.
computer
I
deaded.
suppose. It works.
I'm gonna take a nice lava
Doesn't work,
bath,
but
just like the one I
looks
took
good.
in Dark Trophy Cave.
And you also did get Swag Key as well, which Dan H did not.
And then go on to some fire strats against Thunderbird. Good to
So
see
that-
Error
I don't even
doing
remember
fire
what
against
Swag
Dark
Key
Link,
is.
but
Palace
Thunderbird's
5,
where
you
it's
only
at.
go all the way to the right after you get Flute. Down stabbing the key and
right.
bouncing off the wall.
That one. Yes. See, I'm on 1998 strats. That's the Eco Key. Eco Key's not 1998.
Yeah, Eco Key is like 2016?
Something like that.
Yeah, because it's 2016 strats. And Dan H about to finish it up. He's on Thunderbird now.
standard
Finish
3
Thunderbird,
cycle
and
for
he'll
me.
move on to Shadow Link here.
So yeah, lots of unintentional deaths. Congratulations, I died to a bot in Palace 3. I failed the Barba Jackhammer. Zelda 2 card revoke. Go back to Ghosts and Goblins. Randomizer.
And Dark Link, time to stab away.
You
But
said
hey-
if you knock out the top 10, you'll start grinding 100% all keys again. That could happen soon.
It could.
Should probably fire up my
Very
Discord.
soon.
We're gonna try and hold you to that.
Yeah. Also, I don't know how that was only a 1:18:07. I was expecting that to be a 79 something.
Oh, it looks like I've gotten hit a couple
Yeah, it's
times.
a low 118, so it's still a very decent time. Honestly, we've had quite a bit of sub 80 runs in this tournament.
Wasn't
however,
really paying
so-
attention.
Well, sub 80's easy, so usually
Easy this
it's,
year.
it's usually easy.
It's easy this year. Last year, we didn't have this many sub 80 runs for sure. But Dan H finishing with a 120.45. So Dan H saying he is very rusty, and saying he wants his first run back for sure as well. It's 46 seconds in, I think. But definitely GG's both to Error and Dan H. And for showing up today, and Error choosing to redo the race, restart the race, since Dan H's computer crashed. So thank you for that for Error, keeping us another 30 minutes of Zelda 2. Let's see if Dan H wants to join us, talk about his run. But make sure you guys follow both of these racers, Error72 and Dan__H. Both
Also,
are very
I'd like to apologize for minor spoilers in chat because I totally forgot that, I'm in a super jump and I told everyone before you all saw it.
Yes, Error. There is a delay. You gotta remember that when you're streaming. Unlike when you're running Zelda 2 at SGDQ, when you can just say it live. But,
Yeah, I
so,
need to get back to that category too. But, I'm lazy. Let's just be honest. I'm just lazy.
Alright, so Dan H is here. So Dan H, how did you feel about your run?
Not too bad. Took that one lava bath and dark trophy, but otherwise, after all that happened, I regrouped okay, and it was a pretty typical, fairly mistake-free run for me. Nothing too spectacular, but oh well.
Now, both of these runners are sub 80 runners. 80 minutes is like the pinnacle of where you want to reach in a Zelda 200% all key speed run. It's not as easy as you may think, but once you get sub 80, it starts getting a lot easier because you reach that barrier and everything like that. But during races and everything like that, it is especially difficult, especially like you make one mistake like Danish did there at the very beginning, or Error did during Palace 3 and everything like that. It can cause a death and gets in your head. But also, Overworld, I don't think trolled either of you too badly, except Dan H when you were trying for River Dance, I believe.
Saw a fairy encounter, tried to dodge it, and that went on the grass, and of course it spawned a new encounter right away. Actually, the return to Maze Island, I had like 4 fairy encounters on my screen at one time, and managed to dodge them all, but then wound up taking an encounter.
If it makes you feel any better, I missed River Dance too. I didn't have a chance at River Dance.
Okay.
Error ended up getting a back spawn.
Oh. The only real mistake I saw Error make was jackhammer on Barba. And then, I know I saw you at Attack 3 through Death Mountain, but Error's the type of runner that he doesn't get too dismayed at seeing that, although I'm sure the first race, or the first try at this race, he would have rather had.
I was 30 seconds behind the previous run at Hammer.
which was
But-
still 40 seconds ahead of me.
But it is what it is. You missed me dying in Palace 3 as well. I got dunked by a bot.
Yeah, didn't see that.
So I saved 2 extra lives in Palace 4. And needed them both. Technically didn't need them both. I still had one in reserve. But you definitely want that one in reserve for Great Palace.
Yeah, in race settings, I actually try to go 0 deaths in Palace 4, but it really never works out that way to get both jars from that one statue. I got the second one, I think, so I only death abused once.
Anyway, I have nothing more to say about that run. Unless you have any other specific questions. Good luck in the knockout bracket, because I think we're both in.
Yeah, I'll be out the first round, I'm sure. I just hope to avoid Cantaloupe. Because if I lose to him, he's going to make me play some awful SNES game.
So you're gonna have to play an awful SNES game. Is he gonna have to play Super Black Bass if you win?
No, he already played Super Black Bass. He would have to play PTO, Pacific Theater of Operations, if I win.
Okay.
I want to see this now. We need
This
to.
race needs to happen. I'll talk to
I
Prez.
don't.
I'll talk to Prez.
We'll talk to our tournament organizer, Prez J. Polk.
Yeah,
I'm sure we can, fudge the numbers a little bit to set this up.
yeah. We'll make sure it happens.
No. Please no. I'll just lose to Simpler JN or something like that and take my loss like a man.
No, that's what I was gonna do, and do alt route GP and try for eco key 4 times.
I did think about talking to Error in Jumptown in this race, but then I just wanted to kind of go.
My Palace one was so bad I didn't even think about it. I should have done it, when you were offline in the first race. Also, you talking in my chat. I see that now. It's saying that, telling me Eco Key 1988 strats my
My behind. I saw you do that, and then it wasn't until I got to Spelltown where I started actually typing in your chat. Because at that point...
Oh yeah, I started typing in Spelltown too, and ended up walking right by the fireplace. So I was walking to the wall for like 5 seconds.
You got
Missed
hold
went
up
into
and
that
right.
house
Missed a
twice.
spell pose.
You got hold up and right, not just right, Error. Up and right.
Hey, no one's knocked me out of 10th place yet to make me come back. So
Coming close. But
anyway, I'm sure that. Go ahead.
yeah, I was gonna say that'll probably be it for this. I'm sure there's something else coming up for speed gaming that's delayed and everything like that a little bit. But make sure you guys follow both racers here, Dan__H and Error72. Both excellent runners in Zelda 2. And
Thanks for
make sure you
commentary.
guys-
Thanks,
well,
Friesel, for restream.
And also, anytime you want to learn Zelda 2, you can talk to any one of these runners and everything. Be more than glad to be able to help you out. And hopefully you can knock Error out of the top 10, make him come back and start playing this game ad nauseum. But definitely, GG's to both of you. Thank you for playing. And thank you for Fiesel for the restream here on Speed Gaming. I'm not sure what's up next, but we'll find out.